Let's get into a comfortable seat when you feel ready and create just a nice long spine. And just take a moment to notice which ankle crosses on top of the other. And don't worry about making it look any certain way or the right placement of the legs. The right placement of the legs here is what's comfortable for you. Okay, comfort is key, especially in the beginning. And we always want to sort of move toward comfort away from any pain, certainly, but there's sort of this tender balance between the ease and the effort, right? So the effort here is just creating this nice long spine, and the effort as well is going to be arriving, right? You're here, you're watching, you're seated, but you haven't quite fully arrived yet, most likely, right? The mind, it likes to be all over the place. And so whenever we come into the present moment, it's almost like breaking some habits, some patterns that are not always so healthy, especially when our mind takes us into looping thoughts or negative critical thoughts, right? So find a comfortable seat, long spine, notice the cross of your ankles, roll your shoulders back and down, let your palms rest on your thighs somewhere or on your knees. And then you can close your eyes right now. Just taking a moment to turn the gaze inward, right? So you're not noticing all of the visual things around you. It's just a really nice way to come inside. And just begin to notice your breath as it flows in and out through your nose, and see if you can start to make it a little longer and sweeter and fuller. Both the inhales and the exhales. So using the breath as an anchor, like a ship drops anchor so it doesn't bob around on that choppy sea, right? The breath becomes our anchor. We drop in to the presence and stillness right here, right now. The surface of the mind tends to be really, really rocky. But deeper underneath that surface, underneath those redundant, repetitive thoughts, which science calls our default network, default mode network, there's a presence, a stillness, a steadiness beneath all of that. So use the breath just to help you drop in. Long and smooth breaths. Take about 3 more cycles. Noticing your shoulders drop a little more as you exhale, keeping that length of the spine. And feeling both sit bones against the floor. Good. And then you can reopen your eyes if you'd like, or you're welcome to keep them closed. We're just going to take the hands on the knees here, if you can, straightening your arms a bit. And see if you can draw the shoulder heads back and gently, gently, gently pull your heart forward. And be aware that the shoulders aren't lifting, so they're back and down, right? So the collarbones get a little wider. And maybe the front ribs are moving forward with the help of your arms, forward away from the pelvis. You can look up if that's nice, but for me, I don't ever like to jam into the back of the neck. I like to keep the neck nice and long. We'll take one more breath here. Let the heart expand. Good, and then as you exhale, you're going to draw your ribs back to center and just pause. Good, and then you're just going to drop your head, chin toward the chest, and draw the ribs back. So you're holding onto the knees, right? So you're supporting yourself. Let that chin drop and let the back of the neck get a little bit longer here. See if the shoulder blades can almost separate. And again, be aware the shoulders aren't lifting. They're down but forward now. So there's a space behind the heart. And just see if you can carry the breath there. And release it. And then come back up to center. Ribs shift forward right above the hips. Roll those shoulders back and down. Let's just do a sweet little neck release here. So move your ear toward your right shoulder, and see if that left shoulder can get a little bit heavier, so you feel a little stretch in the left side of the neck. Breathe into that. We're using the breath to feel the sensations a little bit more. And the exhales help soften the sensations often. And keeping the ear toward that right shoulder, we're just going to now shift the chin toward that same shoulder. The opposite shoulder, the left shoulder, might want to slide forward, so you're just dropping it back and down. Feel what's going on the left side of the neck there. And see if the exhales can soften and dissipate any tension. And then ear shifts back to that same shoulder. And on an exhale, head comes back to center. Take a moment to pause. Shoulders heavy, top of the head lifted. Good. And then other side, left ear toward left shoulder. Ooh, I just got a nice little crack in my neck. It's always a little bonus. Right shoulder heavy, right? And just breathe. You're just finding again that balance between the ease and the effort. So you're never going too far that you're creating strain, but just far enough that you can feel something and let the exhales help to soften the sensations. And then keeping the ear to that left shoulder, we're just going to shift chin toward the shoulder. And that right shoulder, opposite shoulder, might want to slide forward, so you're drawing it back and down. The hand on the leg might help. The breath, long and smooth, will definitely help. Just you're present to what you're feeling. Everything else starts to disappear. And then ear moves back to that same shoulder. Yeah, and on an exhale, head comes back up to center. Good. Take a moment. Feel. And then we'll circle around the shoulders. Loosen up all that musculature up there that tends to get really tight and jammed up. So you can circle the shoulders in big circles, forward, up, over the top and back, and then you can take them the opposite direction. If it's nicer for you to loosen things up, you can take them one at a time, like a figure 8, back to front, front to back. You can move your head around. You can let the hands slide around, right? Take any organic movement here that just feels nice for you. Don't worry about how it looks. Nobody can see you. All right, let your hands come back onto your knees. And let's just uncross and recross the legs here so that we get a balance for the hips. So whatever the top ankle is, you're just going to shift it underneath the other ankle. And for most of us, this feels really weird, really awkward. And that's good, right? That's good just because when we start to change habit patterns in the body or in the mind, often there's some resistance. But you're totally fine. You're safe. So for me, this is awkward. My opposite knee lifts a little bit more. It's okay. Doesn't have to look any certain way. Shoulders heavy, top of the head lifting. And now we're just going to take some circles with the ribs, right? So I'm going to show you, but I want you to just feel it more than having it look any certain way. So there's like a rib basket, you could imagine, and a pelvic bowl. Can you see my hands best? You're just going to circle the ribs around the hips in both directions. So we're going to start by bringing the ribs back, kind of like we did earlier, chin to chest, and then ribs circle around to the right, forward, shoulders back and heavy, over to the left and back. So really big, smooth circles. They call these Sufi circles. And hopefully you haven't just eaten before practice. This is a really nice little like massage for your internal organs. So as the ribs come forward, the collarbones widen, the shoulders stay heavy, and as the ribs move back, maybe the chin wants to drop. So do whatever feels nice with your head. And then when you come back to the front, go in the opposite direction. And notice how it feels. That massage for all those soft internal organs. The neck stays relaxed. The head just sort of follows along in any way that feels good. The hands are on the knees for a little support. All right. And then we'll come back to the front. Little opening for the heart, shoulders back and down. Take a nice big juicy inhale. And we'll just return to center and just take a moment here, please, just to feel the effects in your body of what we've just done, because that was quite a lot, even though it didn't look like a lot. And put a little smile on your face. Take a moment just to be grateful you're here. Bring your hands together if you like, in front of your heart or to your third eye. And just give yourself a little appreciation, a little gratitude for showing up. All right, let's come to hands and knees. Hands and knees. Some of you are probably glad we're off of our bottom. Some of you are probably like, uh-oh, now what's going to happen? We're all different, right? It's all good. So hands and knees, you're going to spread your fingers, bring the shoulders right over your wrists, or even a little bit behind is fine, and hips over knees. Good. And then we're just going to take the left foot up and back. So you're going to lengthen that left leg, and it might feel nice to open the back of the leg into the knee there, into the back of the knee. Be aware that the shoulders are down away from the ears, the neck is long, you're looking straight down at the mat, and all you're doing, you're on both hands and one knee, and the left leg is lifted. The toes are pointed down. And then we're just going to loosen up the hip now a little bit. So flex the foot so the toes point straight down. Flexing means toes are toward the shin, as if that foot is flat against a wall, right? And then you're just going to, without moving the ankle at all, spin the toes out to the left. And you'll notice your hip will lift a little bit. And then you're going to spin the toes to the right, and you'll notice your hip is going to drop a little bit. And then again, inhale, toes turn out. So you're actually lubricating that ball and socket joint of the hip. Exhale, toes turn in. The whole femur bone is spinning. Inhale, toes turn out. And exhale, toes turn in. And then root into your left hand and take the right hand forward, thumb up. Now the toes are just pointing straight down, and you're lengthening the lifted limbs away from one another. The breath is flowing. The mind is relaxed. The breath is steady. On your next exhale, I want you to bend the lifted knee and elbow. Bring them underneath your body. Let the head drop round your back. Extend the limbs again. Inhale, lengthen a bit. Knee and elbow towards each other beneath you. Exhale, drop your head. Once more, inhale, lengthen a bit. Exhale, knee to elbow. They don't have to touch. Head drops. Press the floor with that left hand. Inhale, lengthen a bit. Good, and then lift the right hand. Bend the back leg. See if you can catch it. If you can catch it, great. Kick it up and back. If you can't catch it, just bend it. No worries. Right shoulder rolls back. Left knee draws back and up a little bit. Take one more breath here. We won't hold it long. And back to center. Lengthen out one last time. Inhale. And hand and knee back down. Exhale. And then we'll just cat-cow. Inhale. Heart comes forward. This is kind of like what we did seated. Sit bones lift. Rounding as you exhale. Chin to chest. Open the back body. If you want to sway a little, sway a little. I usually like that. And then we'll come back to a flat back, and we're going to do it all on the other side. So right foot up and back. And just take a moment, both hands rooted, back of the neck long, belly's lifting a little bit. Right foot is flexed, and you're just opening into the back of that leg. So that leg is really long and strong and a little active. Toes pull toward the shin. Imagine you're pressing the foot against a wall. Good. And then we'll pivot the whole femur bone. So inhale, toes pivot out. You'll notice the hip will probably lift. It's all good. Exhale, toes pivot in to the left. Inhale, toes to the right toes to the right. Exhale, right toes to the left. Once more, inhale, pivot the foot, pivot that whole femur bone if you can feel it. Exhale, pivot it in. Yeah, and then neutral. Toes point straight down. Foot is flexed. Leg is strong. You're going to press into your right hand. Take the left hand forward. Don't worry, we'll get off our wrists pretty soon. So lengthen through the lifted limbs. Pull the belly up and in a little bit. Relax the neck and face. On your next exhale, knee and elbow come underneath your body. So you're just going to get a little sweet opening in the back body here. Extend as you inhale. Wrap, exhale, knee to elbow, Inhale, extend. I guess that's not really a wrap. And once more, exhale, knee to elbow. Drop your head, press the floor. Good. Last extension, inhale. Left hand lifts, back knee bends. Catch the foot if you can and kick it up. That left shoulder rolls back. What would feel best with your neck? Do you want to gaze down at the mat? Do you want to gaze over the left shoulder? Can the breath stay fluid and smooth? That's your anchor, remember, keeps you present, keeps you in sensation. Knee is lifting a bit. Good. And then we'll let it go and come back to center. One last inhale, stretching the limbs apart, and hand and knee to the floor. Exhale, and then one cat-cow. Belly drops, heart lifts. Inhale. Round the back. Exhale. Heavy, heavy head. Press the floor. Really dome the upper back, the middle back. Go ahead and separate your knees for a moment and press all the way back to a child's pose. Let your head drop. Let your elbows drop. Let your shoulders relax. You can wiggle. You can sway. Can you again just appreciate yourself, the sweet beginning, this beautiful body that's getting healthier and stronger and more supple, that you're getting to know a little bit better, more intimately? Can you make a declaration that you're going to be so tender and gentle and compassionate with yourself? And that means in the physical movements and also in any mental conversations that you're having about your body. Extend your arms forward, stretch the arms, lift the elbows, press the fingertips against the floor, and then on an inhale, come back up to hands and knees. From hands and knees, go ahead and open the feet just as wide as the knees, curl the toes under, and we'll come into downward dog. Lift the knees, pull the hips back. So particularly for the first downward dog, have the feet quite wide. But as you look at the feet, make sure the heels are disappearing back there so you're not seeing them. So the outer edges of the feet are sort of parallel to the sides of your yoga mat. And when the feet are wide in your down dog, it just creates so much more spaciousness in your low back. If you have any shoulder issues, take your hands quite wide as well. Let your head hang. If you want to do any movement, if you want to pedal the knees or wiggle the hips or head, go for it. It's your body, your practice. Remember, you're going to treat yourself kindly and compassionately, mentally and physically. And that's a whole practice in and of itself that many of us could certainly benefit from. We tend to be our harshest critics, don't we? Can you draw the thigh bones back? Can you let the heels dip toward the mat? Whether they touch or not doesn't matter. Can you press the floor away from you with your hands? And then lift your heels off the floor. Bend both knees. Take an inhale as you look forward. And slowly walk forward through your exhale, all the way to the front of your mat. Lift your heart on an inhale. Let your hands come to the thighs or shins, whatever's comfortable. Flat back. And then go ahead and fold forward. Let your hands hang. Maybe let your knees bend a little or a lot. Make sure the feet are hips width. Clasp your elbows. And just sway a little side to side, loosening things up. Imagining your head is sort of like a pendulum. Just hanging so heavy. Belly's a little supportive here. Breath and mind so supportive as well. Let's release the hands to the hips, please. Just those hip creases where the thigh and hips meet. And then lift your heart and lift your elbows back. So you're just coming to this flat back. Sorry, my shirt's really poofy. So bending the knees to help the spine extend. Back of the neck long, gaze can be straight down. The shoulders might want to round forward. Shoulders down the back and back. So imagine the elbow tips could touch, sink into the legs a little bit more. And then lift your heart higher and press up to standing. Drop your arms by your sides. Make any readjustments you need in your clothing or your hair. And take the shoulders in a couple circles, any direction, any way you like, just to loosen up. Okay, feet hips width apart. Palms forward, shoulders and hands kind of heavy. Feel that length of your spine, the rooting of your feet, the softness of your face, the steadiness of your breath. With Palms spinning forward on your next inhale. Reach the hands forward and up. Stretch up. And then fold in half as you exhale, dropping your head. Come to the flat back as you inhale. Hands can slide up to the legs, anywhere comfortable. And then hands to the floor as you exhale. And just step back with your left foot. Big step. Big, big, big step. Go ahead and wiggle your right foot over to the right a little bit so your feet are nice and wide apart from side to side. At least hip distance, maybe a little bit more. Little bend in the back knee. Both hands or one hand to the front thigh to lift your heart. So you're setting up for a crescent pose. So I like the back knee to bend to start so the low back doesn't jam. So tailbone drops, belly hugs in. The hands can stay right here on the thigh if you like, the front thigh, or arms lift. Your choice. And then just see if you can align your ribs, that rib basket, right over that hip bowl, right? So that might mean bending the back knee a little more and drawing the ribs back, particularly those front ribs. And then maybe sink a little lower into the legs if you want to work harder. No worries if you don't. We're going to turn to the right here and spread our arms. And notice if that right hip shifted forward, right? So hug the right hip back. The hips haven't moved, but the ribs are now turning. Yeah, and then keep the right hand back, look to the left front hand, and let that left hand drop back. And you can take the palms down, spinning forward. You can take the arms out to your sides if that's nicer, or you can even bend your elbows and let the fingers point up to the sky. So you're just letting the heart open again. Let the shoulders drop down. Notice how the front ribs shifted forward. Draw them back again. Sink a little lower into the legs if you want to. One inhale to reach the arms up and take a little stretch. And then hands to the floor, exhale. Good, pause. Step the right foot all the way back to plank pose. Holding the plank, you can take your knees on the floor, no worries. Belly hugs in. Back of the head lifts so the head's not drooping. Good, take a breath. And then lower to your belly, knees and then chest can drop. Pause and point your toes, roll your shoulders back. Baby cobra is your inhale. Hips don't leave the floor, just the heart lifts. Rolling down as you exhale, just once more. Baby cobra on your inhale. Back of the neck stays long. Don't make the mistake of lifting the gaze. Good. Back to hands and knees. Toes curl under. Downward facing dog. You might notice the two sides feel a little different after that. Maybe the feet are a little closer together than they were in that first down dog. Wherever you want them is fine. Let your breath help to stabilize you and anchor you right back here and now. And then we'll lift the heels, we'll bend the knees, we'll look forward on an inhale, and slowly walk to the front of your mat, exhaling. Lifting the heart, inhale, flat back. Fold forward, exhale, drop your head, bend your two knees, take your hands back to your hips, and return to the flat back. We're just pausing here so we can do it again the same way. Elbow tips draw back, shoulders roll back and down. Knees bending helps the spine extend. Sink a little lower into the legs if you like. Start to pitch the heart up, and then press to standing. Good. Drop your arms, maybe roll the shoulders or head, palms spinning forward. Feet rooting, belly hugging in a little for support, head floating. Breath smooth and even. Palms forward on your inhale, hands forward and up, reach. Fold forward, exhale. We'll pause here and take a big step back with the right foot. Oh, I just got confused there. We'll go the left foot over to the left, right? So when you come up, you have a wider base with which to balance more easily. Little bend in the back knee, both hands or one hand to this front left thigh to prop you up. For those of you that don't need to prop up with your hands, just do it anyway, right? Be a little sweeter, more gentle with yourself. You don't have to overdo. So back knees bent a little so that low back lengthens and it doesn't jam in any way. Shoulders relax. Maybe the hands stay on the thigh for a bit. Maybe the hands lift up. Notice the orientation of the ribs over the hips, right? See if you can draw them straight over the hips. So that might mean the front ribs pulling in. You might drop lower into the legs. You might come up higher. It's a different side. When you're ready, you're going to turn left, left hand back, right hand forward. Right, let your shoulders get a little heavier. Notice if that left hip shifted forward, shift it back. So the hips haven't changed orientation, just the ribs have. The left hand stays back. You're going to look forward, drop the right hand back. So now both palms are down and forward, and it helps the shoulders get a little heavier. Or hands out to your sides, or hands facing forward, elbows bend, your choice. And you can try something different on this side, right? The front ribs, they're going to jet forward here most likely as the heart opens. So just reorient the ribs back. Sink a little lower into the legs if you want to. Reach up on an inhale. And hands to the floor, exhale. Okay, step that left foot back. Plank pose, we're going to pause. Pausing in the shape, but not pausing the breath, right? The breath is staying steady and smooth. Belly hugs in, sides of the waist hug in. Go ahead and drop your knees if you like to lower knees and then chest to the floor and 2 cobras. So toes point. Baby cobras are fine. Inhale, heart lifts. Hips don't. Exhale, release. Inhale, heart lifts, shoulders heavy. And exhale, release. Good. Let's come to hands and knees. And back to downward dog. Okay, let your breath settle you, anchor you. Good. And then we're going to shift forward to the plank pose. And when you get to plank again, let's just get off our wrists here in plank. So just shift one elbow at a time to the floor. And notice all the orientations that shift in the ribs and hips by doing that. It's sort of a wiggle waggle side to side. That's fine. Back of the head is lifting toward the sky. So the head's not dropping, right? So many of us have that forward head syndrome, myself probably included. So back of the head lifts. Elbows kind of hug towards each other, belly pulls in. If you need to drop your knees, go ahead and drop your knees, no worries. Let's float the right foot off the floor, wiggle the ankle around, and set it down. Let's float the left foot off the floor, wiggle the ankle around, and set it down. And then slowly and carefully let your knees drop, release your toes, and let your hips slowly come down to the floor. Really slowly and mindfully, so you don't feel compression in your low back. Lift the heart, lift the gaze just forward so the back of the neck is long and the neck just follows the curve of the spine. So let your shoulders come back and heavy, yeah? And then anything you want to do here with your neck is fine. You can go ear to shoulder or chin to shoulder. You can look over each shoulder. Or maybe you don't want to move your head at all. Whatever you need is fine. Can you lift the belly away from the floor? And then one toe at a time is good, or one toe. I think you have 5 toes at a time, let's say, are going to curl under, 1 foot at a time. Keeping the knees on the floor. On an exhale, the belly's going to lift the hips, right? So now you have that orientation with hips and ribs in one line again. And then maybe one knee lifts and maybe the other knee lifts. Or maybe knees stay on the floor. Your choice. Back of the head lifts. Breath in that flow. Good. Let's lift the right foot off the floor here on an inhale. And we're going to take the right knee toward the right shoulder on the exhale. Doesn't have to touch. Extend the leg back. Inhale. Set it down. Exhale. Left foot lifts. Inhale. Back of the head lifts as well. Left knee, left elbow or shoulder. Exhale. Extend it back. Inhale. Set it down. Exhale. Once more. Right foot lifts. Inhale. Right knee, right outer arm. Exhale. Keep the ribs away from the floor. Extend it back. Inhale. And set it down. Exhale. Last one. Left foot lifts on your inhale. Left knee toward the left arm, exhale, ribs away from the floor, extend it back, inhale, set it down, exhale, and then knees down, and again, hips down. Slowly, let the heart come forward, let the gaze come forward, let the shoulders relax. Again, if you want to loosen up the neck, if you pulled any tension there from that, feel free to wiggle around the head. All right, let the hands come together here. And just lean into the left elbow, lift the right foot. So you're leaning into the left elbow, lifting the right foot, and just go ahead and reach back for the right foot with the right hand if that is available to you, and give it a little pull toward your buttock. You want to take the hands on top of it, otherwise inside the foot rather than outside so that shoulder can wrap back. And then you might notice that you're sort of spilling to the left, that hip point is going to lift. Let the hip point drop. You can gaze forward, over the shoulder, wherever it's comfortable for your neck, and then release that right foot. Thumbs together, hands together, elbows beneath shoulders. We're going to do the other side. So left foot lifts. Going to lean into that right elbow. You might roll to the right here to catch the foot. So I want you to catch it on the inside rather than the outside or the top. And then see if that left hip point can drop down. You're pulling the left foot toward you just to the degree that you feel something sweet, no pain, right? The tendency here is to dump the chest. Let that right shoulder climb up to the ear, so you're lifting the heart away from the floor and letting that right shoulder stay a little heavy. And you're just managing the shape in a way that serves you, and that might mean you're all the way over onto the right hip. I don't care. I want you to be compassionate and tender with yourself, remember? All right, let's let go of the foot. Let's separate the hands. Let's curl the toes back under, all 10, one at a time. That would be a feet. Ha ha, feet. I just made a funny pun unintentionally. Maybe it wasn't so funny. Belly pulls away from the floor, hips pull away from the floor. Feel that orientation of the ribs right over the hips. One knee at a time comes back up. So this is core work, you guys. Belly hugs in, back of the head lifts, elbows hug together. And on your exhale, you're just going to lift the hips up. You're going to walk the feet a little closer to the elbows, as close as you like. You can have the feet as wide as you like, remember? So I want your low back to feel nice and broad here. The head hanging heavy. And the breath flowing smoothly. If you want to straighten the legs, if you want to bend the legs, whatever you need is fine. Relax the face. And then when you're ready, knees come to the floor nice and wide. Big toes can come together and back to child's pose. Let the shoulders relax, let your belly relax, let your face relax. You want to roll the forehead side to side or give the hips a little wiggle, feel free. You can take a nice deep breath in. You can open the lips and let it go, and just allow tension to spill out. Go ahead and take your hands back a little bit. Press yourself up. Let your knees come together and just crawl them forward. We're going to roll onto our backs. So any way you want to get there is fine. On our backs. Once you make it to your back, you can hug your knees to your chest. You can take a little rock side to side. You can rock the head side to side as well. You can roll around the feet at the ankles. Do whatever feels good. What would your body like right here? Right, when we practice yoga, it's really, well, there's so much. So many benefits, but one of them is that we get to know our needs a little better, our boundaries a little better, our bodies a little better, our minds a little better, because we're paying attention, right? How much do we do in our lives that's just sort of autopilot? So let your feet come to the floor, bent knees, and let's just come into a sweet little bridge pose here, right? So let your tailbone curl up toward your knees, and then hips lift, middle back lifts. And if you want the upper back to lift, you can slide your hands together underneath you, interlace fingers, and sort of walk the upper arms a little closer together. And if that doesn't work for you, you can even grab the sides of your mat and almost pull the mat apart, which is going to help lift the back of the heart. or the arms can just open by your sides. And then see if you can orient your feet evenly on the floor so you're not just heavy on the heels or the outside edges, but all the different points of the feet are pressing down. The throat is free. The face is relaxed. And the breath is really smooth here, right? You're just sort of creating all the space in the torso. All those organs that you massaged earlier are getting refreshed. The inhales bring us prana and oxygen and vitality and all the nutrients that our cells need, right? And the exhales, they let go of tension, of debris, of waste, of toxicity, of anything that we don't need. So you're just facilitating that with longer, smoother breaths. When you're ready, separate your shoulder blades, unlace your hands if they were together, and lay your spine down just as slowly as you came up, right? Vertebra by vertebra, low back settles down last. So nice. Bring your feet right underneath your knees if they were a little wonky there. And cross your right ankle bone over your left thigh. Right toes flex. You can just stay here. You can take your right hand, press the right knee a little forward. This might be enough. You can lift the left foot off the floor. This might be enough. You can take your hands behind the left hamstring and draw that left leg toward you. That might be a little nicer. For some of you, you might take your hands to the shin and draw the shin toward you. So find your place where there's sensation but no pain, right? Chin a little to the chest, back of the neck long, jaw relaxes, you can wiggle it, shoulders heavy. Couple deep breaths. That breath is your anchor, remember? Your mind is going to try to take you elsewhere, and you just drop anchor. Feel the breath. Let go of the left leg, uncross the right ankle, and we'll do the other side. Left ankle bone is going to cross. You can press the knee forward with your left hand. That might again be enough. Maybe the right foot lifts, and just be aware of how it's feeling so you don't just automatically do the same thing you did on the first side. You can take the right hand behind the right leg. The left hand can press the knee forward. That might be sweet. Whatever you like. Shoulders heavy, jaw relaxes, eyes relax as well. 2 deep breaths. Can you feel the breath? Good, and then we'll let go of this right leg. We'll uncross the left ankle. And we'll take the soles of the feet together. Let the knees fall apart. Not really fall apart, but drift apart. We don't want our knees to fall apart. One hand on your chest, maybe right at the solar plexus where the ribs meet, and one hand on your belly button. Doesn't matter which one. Let your elbows relax. Let your shoulders relax. Let your face relax, and just feel the movement of the breath beneath your hands. And see if that bottom hand can rise and fall just as much as the top hand. So you're encouraging your diaphragm to help you breathe even more. It brings more oxygen, more healing into your body. It stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, which brings your whole system into that relaxation response. On the next exhale, you're going to hug the belly button back. So you turn on your core muscles and then bring the knees together. Good. And then we're going to wiggle the feet apart and let the knees touch together. And if you remember from that first down dog, the edges of the feet are parallel to the edges of the mat here. And see if the knees can touch or get close. And then open your arms out, straight out, palms up, or in a cactus shape if you like. And both knees over to the left. And then turn the nose to the right, if that's comfortable for your neck. If not, then don't. And hopefully you feel enough sensation in this right hip, right side of the waist, both shoulders relaxed, And then just one more really sweet deep breath in. You can open the lips and let it go. You can make a little noise to help let it go. And then belly hugs in to bring the knees back up. So again, feet wide. Maybe they didn't move. If they did move, readjust them. Knees touch. And then both knees, when you're ready, over to the right. Maybe turn the head to the left. Maybe not. Imagine that the knees are heavy. The shoulders are heavy. The back of the heart is heavy. And start to feel the heaviness of the exhale. It just helps you drop back a little bit more completely, a little emptier of any tension, any worries, any intrusive thoughts. And then when you're ready, a deeper, sweeter breath in. Opening the lips if you like. Making a little noise if you can. And then belly hugs in at the bottom of that exhale. Knees come back together. When the knees touch, bring your feet beneath your knees. Hug your knees to your chest. And now we're just going to circle around the knees in both directions. Right? It's almost like those Sufi circles, but not quite. It's a little bit more of a massage now for the low back. Yeah. And then knees come to center. See if you can kiss your knees, at least energetically, even if you can't touch your nose or your lips to your knees. Give yourself a energetic kiss and a hug and some love and appreciation, and take a giant inhale. See if you can fill with those feelings. Hold the breath, squeeze everything, and then open up, let it go, Shavasana. All right, so we're going to go a few minutes over. I hope that's all right, so that we can get at least a solid 3 minutes of Shavasana. So let your palms spin up, relax your hands, let your feet flop open, relax your feet. Let your eyes close and just sink back. Let your top and bottom teeth separate so there's no clenching in the jaw. And feel how the earth creates that orientation of the hips and ribs, nice and stationary. No movement is needed here, but if there's any movement that you need to get out of the way, please do, so that you can find stillness. And remember that anchor that we dropped, and take a moment just to feel that stability. Let go of deepening or lengthening the breath, and let it soften. And now see if your anchor can be that softer, more subtle breath. It might be harder to feel, which is great. You might just feel the movement of breath passing in and out of the nose. Can you feel into the subtle sensations of the breath, or even perhaps the heart beating, or the cells in your body vibrating alive? Just really tuning inward, dropping that anchor, settling the mind, settling the body, becoming present. Please be compassionate and tender and gentle and loving with yourself. Your mind will take you away. It's a good thing. It's an aha moment, because that's when you realize and come back. Before you move at all, just notice. Notice how you feel. How relaxed the body becomes when you allow it to. How relaxed the mind and breath become when you allow them to. Right? And take a moment again of appreciation, of gratitude for this practice, for your beautiful body and mind, for the support of one another. There's so much support in the world for you, and congratulations, you found some, right? It's a beautiful thing to be appreciative of. So hands can come back to the third eye or the heart, palms together. Take a breath of appreciation, and then let your breath go. And you're welcome to stay on your backs, right, as I suggested in the beginning. Or if you'd like, you can come back up into a comfortable seat or to your computer if you want to ask anything or say anything. Yay!